yet.
All right. Ready to roll? All right. We'll call the meeting to order. Has the roll been taken?
Upon arrival,
Okay, first item on the agenda is approval of the minutes of the meeting of March 13th. Has everyone had a chance to take a look at those? Would anyone like to make a motion?
Move they be approved.
It's been moved. Do we have a second? Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. Next item on the agenda is unfinished business. Does anyone have any unfinished business? Hearing none, we'll move on to new business. First item of new business is consideration of a petition filed by Thomas Payne for the approval of the simplified plat for property located at 364 Monticello Avenue. That was assigned to committee number 3, Mr. Michael Brown, Gary Keith, and Roger Baker, none of whom happen to be here. So, Ashley, if we can get the Monticello Avenue request, the simplified plat, can you offer any insight into that?
I didn't know, I thought there might be some questions on that as to approve the one or not. You know, it's a split that is existing. This is a simple property split.
Do you have any concerns?
Well,
this is the one for Thomas Payne.
Right.
This is the one for Thomas Payne, all right?
Yes.
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 Okay. On my, yeah. Okay.
splitting the driveway. Oh, no, I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, yeah, I think we're on that, yeah.
Mr. Payne?
No, I'm Jason Lane.
Oh, okay.
He's our engineer.
I'm sorry, I apologize.
It's okay.
I apologize. Does anyone have any questions, comments on this?
Looks like you're taking 2 lots, combining them to one.
Appears. Do you have anything on that, Chris?
I was just looking at the simplified plat that Thomas submitted, and it appears that there's already a 450 square foot building that overlaps both parcel A and parcel B. I want to confirm that we're combining 2 parcels into one and not splitting 2 parcels. It'd be splitting right down to a building.
Right.
I'll make sure I understood it correctly.
Is there an urgency to this? It would have been nice to have somebody from the committee to explain it to us or the proponent, but unfortunately, no one was able to attend.
Right.
Do we know if there's an urgency to this? Is this an urgent matter that, or if it was put off to the next meeting?
Don't know if it's urgent or not, but it probably could be. If you want to take it earlier.
Sometime.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, we have a motion to table it.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to table this matter. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we'll table this matter until the next meeting. Next item on the agenda is consideration of petition filed by Josiah Griever of Altitude Properties LLC, requesting the subdivision of lots or parcels of land situated at 328 Milford Street. That was committee number 1, Mr. McMunn, Mr. Min, and Ms. Basnet, all of whom are here. So, would one of you like to give a report on that?
Okay. I talked to the surveyor and confirmed with him that the buildings that are shown and the other lines, other than the survey lines on this the plat, are fairly accurate so far as the location of the buildings and all, to make a comparison as we look at those. Sometimes when you look at the plats, the other structures are shown for illustration purposes as opposed to accuracy, but he said these are fairly well accurate. So I looked at those, and of course you can see that the additional surveying that was done on the large plat adds what appears to be some space area, coverage area on the lots, and possibility of setback issues. I discussed it with the code enforcement. They had concerns, as Ashley indicated, with the coverage and setbacks. If code enforcement indeed has its concerns, certainly you can see that. I went down and looked at the property, and things are, as you can see from the plat, fairly close together. With those concerns, I could not recommend the subdivision of the lots under those conditions. At least that's my opinion.
Okay. Does anyone else have any questions, discussion?
Is Mr. Griever, in attendance?
He is.
Mr. Greer?
Yeah,
Yeah.
can I speak into that?
Sure, if you come up
May
here.
I ask the reasoning for the subdivision for the split?
He wants to know the reasoning for the subdivision.
Yeah, so I've owned, I've owned both of those properties since 2016. And I've had tenants in there, every single year. But now I'm wanting to sell my properties. I've got other properties as well that I'm wanting to sell. And so, I don't want to sell just because right now they're both on the same plot, obviously. So I'd have to sell both houses as one. And so for, the market, and especially in Staley, you're not going to be able to sell it for really what it's worth, because they're on the same plot. And so, I split it because, I'm wanting to sell, if that answers your question there. But, the properties are already, I think the legal term is non-conforming use. I've got a degree in civil engineering. I should have brought my thing, but, so, and I didn't check to see when the properties were built, but I would say they were at least built before the 1950s. And so they were built that way. It was, so from the beginning, it's, it's already, they're already not up to code. They can't get any more not up to code than what they currently are. So just by splitting them, nothing's gonna change. There'll still be people living in both houses. The driveway that you can see here, which I'm pointing to it, that's the driveway for this house. So that's gonna continue, everything is gonna continue to remain the same. The only thing that's different is I get to sell both of them as houses. So, in terms of how they're functioning, by me splitting it up, nothing will change. They're already.
Okay.
Thank you.
What I would recommend, and based on the plat that I'm viewing, and I agree with what Mr. McMahon stated earlier. It does appear that the track 2, the house you have on let's say on Baker Avenue, the right side of it, where the proposed alleyway is going to be constructed, is really right on the line, and would pose a setback issue. What I'd probably recommend to you, but I don't think would have any issues and would be easier to pass, is instead of surveying off that alleyway and keeping it as a part of track 1, leave that alleyway as a part of track 2 and grant a right-of-way for track 1 to travel across track 2 via that proposed alleyway. By keeping the ownership of the alleyway in track 2, that maintains the setback requirements. But by establishing a right-of-way over to track 1, that should give you the same end result that you're desiring, while allowing this board to, uphold with the city code and ordinances that we got to keep in place.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I guess my point is, even doing that, nothing changes. Like, you say I'm granting a right of way, it still doesn't, the people parking there will still be for 328. So I could do that, but again, it doesn't change the functionality of it. And it's already abutting up against the alleyway, so it's already not up to code. So, because my point is, it's already not up to code. It's already not up to whatever ordinance, I don't know the number, whatever ordinance it would be. That So I don't see how doing that would change anything.
I think at least, Mr. Chairman, my answer to that would be that it does change it. It does make it more non-conforming, if you will, in that the two lots that you now have a different coverage percentage. That you now have a small lot that has a substantial difference in coverage. And
Yeah.
the same thing is true on the other side. Your setback line changes by the addition of a line.
Yeah, true. So it's already, so 35% is the lot coverage, allowable lot coverage. They're already past that. So they're all, the lot coverage for both, so both of these houses, these existing houses, they're already greater than 35% of the lot coverage. So
So if,
and that's on the survey.
if the committee wants that line changed, I support that, but I also support subdividing these off into two lots. By keeping this into one lot with two properties, what it does is chances are those are gonna remain rentals. If you put it into two lots, there's a higher chance that they're actually gonna go into home ownership, which is something we like to encourage, is home ownership. And that is the benefit of splitting it into two single-family dwellings. And that is the ideal solution for a property like that, is to have each property have its own piece of land into two separate lots, two houses, so they can be sold that way, and hopefully encourage home ownership.
No, I appreciate that, because that's, that's my aim. So I've already put about $20,000 into both of these houses, fixing them up, with the idea of being able to sell them. But if I was going to continue to rent them, I would not fix them up. If I'm being honest, I wouldn't fix them up to the level that I'm going to, because I've seen too many setbacks for renters. So, that's
Well, and I can,
the idea. Yeah.
real quick here, I can agree with both Mr. McMahon there in what he said, and I can also agree with Ms. Trell in what she said. And it sounds like if you've been doing some work on the homes, you understand construction, some of the space it takes for it. Now, my concern with ignoring the setback and establishing a property line that close while you have common ownership of them currently, if you ultimately sell these to two separate owners, as it seems you intend to, if those owners don't maintain a working relationship moving forward and has any disputes, if the owner of tract 2 needs to do any type of maintenance or repairs or work to the side of their house that's against that new property line, and the future owner of tract 1, is disputing what tract 2 is doing and doesn't grant them permission to work within that alleyway because it's tract 1's property, not tract 2's property, that would be able to, that would prohibit, potential necessary repairs need to be done to the house. And I believe that's the, and code can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that's some of the spirit behind having setbacks on properties to begin with, is to be able to allow for future repairs. And that's why I would recommend, adjusting your property lines there and establishing right-of-ways so you can be able to have it both ways. Have the setbacks that's set in place, and be able to have the necessary access you're desiring to achieve, and that would minimize any potential issues in the future.
Wouldn't there still be a problem if it was just a right of way?
Nope.
If they're parking there, wouldn't that still be blocking them from being able to work on that side of the house?
No, right-of-ways can have, restrictions and, it can allow for things. So within your right-of-way agreement, your language, you should be able to have mutual restrictions and mutual allowances. They'd be allowed to park, but also the owner of tract 2 would be allowed to do necessary repairs if needed. And then moving forward, it'll be up to the future owners to abide by the right-of-way as it was established and as it was set forth. And that's something that, you should be mindful of when establishing that, so you're taking both homeowners in consideration moving forward.
Is that transferable to a new owner if he established that?
You can do,
Yes.
you can do pretty much whatever you want to do on that. He says that you can have rules with respect to that, and you can. You can.
Okay.
And the fact that you've got a non-conforming use, if you will, in looking at it now, doesn't mean that by simply continuing it, we've solved the problem. If you, as an example, if there's a damage to the property and you have to replace it, I don't think code enforcement at that point will allow you to build on it at that point.
No.
And so you now have a piece of property that has no building on it.
Yeah.
And I didn't really have whether you solved your problem at that point or not.
Yeah.
I guess it's debatable as to what the circumstances are at that time.
Yeah. No, and that, I mean, if you look at most properties in Clarksburg, they aren't up to code. So that's why whenever they tear down houses, they don't rebuild because there isn't proper lot coverage for them. In order for me to split it and to do the right of way, are you saying just to take the property line straight across instead of having the bump out? Is that what you're saying?
That'd be my recommendation. And then utilizing the points you did for the bump out as the boundary for your right of way.
Okay, and then how do I submit the right of way? Is that going to be through the survey or will that be through the city? Where does that get established?
So what I'd recommend is probably just touching base with your surveyor. They should be able to issue you a new plat relatively easy without having to do any additional field work based off the points that I'm seeing here.
Yeah.
And having it essentially relabeled as, the right-of-way there, and then you would need to prepare a right-of-way agreement. And like I said, I'd be mindful in the agreement that it's, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Having a good mutual agreement between the two tracks to allow for future, cohesiveness that'll help support code for both of the properties. So that's something that, myself personally, I'd be looking for if we go to re-review this. And to touch base on some of the points that Ms. Fell said, I think this board and, I'd like to think the city in general, wants to work, with individuals like you that's wanting to invest, wanting to improve properties and homes. And, we understand that market in Clarksburg is not the easiest market. And I can see where it makes sense to divide these lots and encourage home ownership. I personally could, overlook and oversee the coverage area requirements because of the nature that's existing around the homes. You're not going to be able to satisfy that currently, and you're not going to be able to satisfy it in the future unless you demo and remove a structure. And like that's just not going to be feasible. So instead of contributing to further blight in the community, if investments being made and good intentions and we're moving the ball forward on the properties, I could support subdividing them as long as it's not going to create long-term maintenance issues and code issues for the properties.
Okay. So basically, go back to the surveyor, have them change that, and I need to resubmit a form.
Yeah, you can just, we already paid the fee, so you just submit the new plat.
The new plat. Okay. Will we have another council session? Or
It'll be next month.
come back next month? Okay. Yeah, that sounds good. I can do that then. That'll work.
Appreciate your help. So would someone like to make a motion to table this till then? It's been motion to table until this is completed. Do we have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
So we'll table this upon completion of the new plat. All right, thank you very much. Next item up.
May.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is adjournment. Would anyone like to make a motion to adjourn? Second?
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor? We are adjourned. Thank you all very much.
Yep, and would like to apologize for not attending. We just had another youngin there yesterday, so we're still up at Ruby. So,
Congratulations.
yeah, had number 6.